This is Moments with Foo with James Foo Torres, better known as Foo, the show that takes you around the world to share interviews with some of the most successful and relevant people on the planet, hear their stories, and get the most important business lessons they have learned on their road to success, and get exclusive advice on how to implement their success into your life and business. Moments with Foo is brought to you by the Strategic Advisor Board and your host, Foo.
Hello and welcome to Moments with Foo. I'm your host, James Foo Torres, but you can call me Foo, hence the name of the podcast. And today I have a very special friend of mine since 2011 when we met at college. His name is Jorge Macias, but I call him Batu and his friends call him Batu. And he is the founding account executive at Offsite and also the co-founder of Mescribe sales consultancy firm. And I'm going to let him tell you more about that. But first, Batu, how are you?
I'm doing good, and I'm doing better now that I'm speaking with you. A long time, that I have a lot of love for you. We've been friends for a long time. I am an industrial engineer. That's how we actually met each other while studying industrial engineering together. We did a couple of investigations and special projects while studying, a coffee roasting investigation and the solar-based LED project of Casa Pueblo. So we had the chance to work together, and we've been really successful at it. So I'm hoping this is going to be a really, really good podcast for everyone. Hope everyone learns a lot and ends up with a lot of value.
Yeah, I have no doubt, man. I mean, you're incredibly smart, and I know that I'm gonna get some good value from you. And first, you kind of give us a little bit of the background of us, right? Our relationship. But now I want you to kind of introduce your professional side of things, right? Like how are you involved with Offsite and now with your own company? So tell us about that.
Yeah, so I would say I am an industrial engineer that transitioned into sales. And it sounds like a really big jump or a really difficult transition. And it's funny because my dad and my grandpa are both salesperson. I studied industrial engineering to get away from that. So it's funny how I ended up in the role either way. So when I was in college, I helped a few friends open up entrepreneurship and innovation association. And then after I graduated, my friends that opened up that association with me came back to me and be like, hey, Batu or Jorge, however you want to call me, we're opening up a tech startup and we need help. So I started my first consulting gig was helping them grow their client base. So basically, I was working at a bank, and every time I clocked out of my full-time job at a bank, I went and spent hours consulting and helping my friends on this tech startup. So long story short, they bought me away from working at the bank. They offered me a chance to get out of that and start working at that tech startup. And basically at that moment, the startup had a few $1,000s in annual recurring revenue. And I got there, I started applying most of my knowledge in industrial engineering to that sales role. And I helped grow the company basically from a few $1,000s to $3 million in annual recurring revenue, and help that company get into Y-Combinator. And Y-Combinator, it's the biggest and most important tech startup accelerator in the world. So companies like Airbnb, Twitch, like a lot of billion-dollar companies have gone through that accelerator. So it was amazing to be that to help a company be that first Puerto Rican startup. And
can you say the name, right? Might as well just shout out,
Yeah. The company is called BrainHi. I still have really close ties to them. I help them every time I can. Both the founders are really good friends. It's funny that you mentioned that because they were recording a podcast last week and they shouted me out. So yeah,
So
just
you gotta, I just like, I know
return
that
the
because I know
favor.
BrainHi did, because obviously we're friends, very close friends, right? So I just wanted you to mention it because I think it's a very impressive thing that you did there, and I mean BrainHi in general. So I just kind of wanted to give them a shout out because I mean Puerto Ricans killing it. We gotta give them the shout out.
Yes, yes. So basically what I'm doing right now, it's taking all those knowledge that I acquire during those 3 or 4 years at BrainHi and condensing it and helping a company like Offsite that is also starting. So I'm creating that go-to-market strategy. I'm helping create those sales processes and help like grow that sales team to get them to a few millions dollars in recurring revenue too. So that's where
Very
where
cool.
I'm working right now. Offsite, like it's a self-explanatory name of a company. So we help create in real life team retreats, so offsites. And yeah, I'm doing that right now.
That's pretty cool, man. I love your story, and I mean, that's why I wanted to give you this opportunity to come here because I always like admire you, and even though like we're the same age, we study together and everything. Like I admire a lot of things about you, and it's pretty cool to kind of be able to share this story because the main thing that I do with this podcast is give people perspective. And I want other Puerto Ricans that can see this like, hey, if we're doing it, you guys can do it too, right? And that's why I like. And let's kind of
Yeah,
what's it gonna say?
I was gonna just point out like sales shouldn't be scary. And if I could transition from being an industrial engineer to being like a sales master right now, or
In your
being
second
really good at
language.
in my second language, that it's there's some difficulties to that, but we can talk about it later. Um, if I can transition from industrial engineer to sales, like you can stop doing whatever you're doing and transition into sales and be good at it. I
Yeah,
promise you.
I mean, like we both, being Puerto Ricans, like Spanish is our first language, and having to operate in English is that an extra challenge that we have. And if we can come in and learn a new language and do it, like imagine people that already know English, right? It's a lot easier. And one big point in here that I want to touch is that the fact that he studied engineering and then he still ended up on sales. That says a lot about sales, right? Because everybody's like, oh, go to school and do and get these grades, and so you can have like the secure job, but then you don't need really education for going to sales. Like we study engineering together, and I didn't finish. I left. I went to the Air Force, and then ended up in sales anyway, right? Indirectly, because I'm the CEO and founder of my own PR firm. So the first thing that you have to do is sales, right? Because if you don't sell, you don't have a business. So sales is extremely important. Even if you're selling yourself to get a job, still you need sales. So I make this point all the time, and I just wanted to emphasize it one more time. And now I want to talk about this. This is a very important part because this guy is doing like a million things at the same time. So this is one of my biggest questions that I ask people, which is like, what's taking most of your attention right now and why?
Great question. I would say so right now I am doing my MBA. I'm working full time. I'm doing my sales consulting, and I'm also doing the 75 hard challenge. So if I would answer, that takes all of my time, literally. So I would say my MBA, I want to grow professionally and academically. Like I want my career trajectory to go at the same time as my academic trajectory. So I want those two to match in a way. Working full time, that takes most of my attention. So and I love what I'm doing. It is really fun. Um, and doing self consultancy, it's more like I see it like a more of a social cause. So I've read hundreds of books that go into how to sell, how to be good at sales. And I feel like that responsibility of helping others and give back to the community and give back to other founders that are starting their companies to be able to sell and to grow their own companies. And then the 75 hard challenge, it's more to get better, like mentally and physically. So I would say like different, like MBA academically, working full time is like all around get better
Professional, right?
professionally. A consultancy is more like a social cause, and then the 75 hard challenge is to get better mentally and physically.
Yeah, I love it. I love it, man. It's crazy to me though. I could never. But hey, props to you. That's why I said that I admired you, because I just, it's not like, oh, it's impossible for me, but I just don't. I'm not willing to put up with that. Like, I just, that's just not the reward and sacrifice or effort that I have to put up for that, in my mind at least, it just doesn't make sense, because I just don't want to, like, I just, for me, school, I guess, you know, me being kind of dyslexic and not being passionate about it, I just don't put the effort that is needed, and I just don't, it's torture for me. So that's why I stepped out completely, and I was like, look, I'm just gonna and do my own firm. And obviously it came with even bigger challenges, right? Because like if I would, it's not just about titles, it's about the learning how to learn, and the dedication, like that perseverance. All those things are that what really pushes you. And I really like the way that you are doing this, because like the way that you describe it, I really like it, because it's like, look, the reason that I'm doing this is not just because I care about that paper that much. It's just because I want to level out my growth in the professional side with my academic, just because that's just how you want to, right? And I really appreciate that. Like, I really like that, because it made me visualize, like, give me perspective. Again, like, perspective is just the word of this podcast, seems like.
Yes. I would say like the 75 hard challenge ties to all of that, because I think like to be better or to improve mentally and physically helps me be better at my MBA, be better at my working full-time job, be better at consulting. So as my mind is in the right place and my body is in the right place, I have the right energy to be able to accomplish everything that I'm doing. So that's like piece everything together in a way.
Yeah, and that reminded me, there was a post that I saw that was from this girl, that she was saying, look, the reason that I like going to the gym really, like a lot, like what I enjoy of it, the real benefit is like, if I can go here and like deadlift over 300 pounds and like squat over 200 pounds, and like being this tiny little girl, when I put myself in that position, like, look, that's like weight two times what I weigh, but I can lift it. Then like, what is it like? I can wake up in the morning and then do something for work, and I can do all the things that are easier, right? Because if I can go through this stress and like in my body and push my limits, then that's just a mental, it's just a mentality, like, oh, I can do anything almost, right? Like, in that mentality, that's exactly what you said, is taking that, doing the 75 hard, and if I can do this, then I can do a lot of easier stuff, right? So I really like that. And with that, I want to segue to a question that I like asking to most people that come into this podcast, which is, do you have an advice or tips that you would like to give to business owners in general, or that you will give your younger self if you were to restart right now?
Yes, I would say get good at sales. Like, don't mind my sales consultancy company or that this is my thing. It's like when you're recruiting, you're in sales. When you're fundraising, you're doing sales. When you're selling, you're doing sales. When you're doing marketing, you're doing sales too. When you are
Applying for jobs too, you're selling
when
yourself.
you're selling yourself. So like one advice I would get to my younger self, it's like to break that taboo around sales, and that is like it's bad or it's creepy or I had a lot of those labels around what is sales, and I would say to my younger self, like, don't mind those labels. At the end of the day, every business relies on getting money in the bank, and for everyone to get paid at any company, there's one salesperson
Sales has to happen,
calling,
period.
emailing, like bugging people, interrupting people to sell those products. And one way and one advice I would say is like, if sales seems scary to you, remember that sales are a numbers game. So like for every 100 calls, you're gonna connect with 30 people, you're gonna schedule 10 calls, you're gonna have like 5 presentations, and you're gonna close 2 deals. Like, it's a numbers game. And as you, like, when you start, maybe you don't know your numbers, but as you go on, you're gonna start understanding the numbers, and that's gonna be a way for you to be able to disconnect from the outcome and be able to focus on like, what are the numbers that are gonna get me X result, and then you can make twitches and you can make it like improve the process and make it better.
Yeah.
So
And I want to add to that is in the beginning, you will suck, period. It is what it is. Like, and then you're gonna fail, right? You're gonna learn from it. Might as well just fail fast. This is a great advice that I was given by many of the coaching programs that I've been. That's what, especially the one that I did for sales. That was like, hey, you will fail, so fail fast. Might as well, because why prolong the learning phase and have the first 20 to 30 calls that are gonna suck slow? Might as well just go through them. Just keep doing it. Suck, record it, go through it. Even if you're gonna cringe about it, doesn't matter. Just gotta just learn from it, and then just embrace the suck, get it done, and you'll get better. Yeah, but just know it will feel worse before it feel better. But that's just part of the growth. It's just the growing pains, right? Let's just grow it. Pain, like, growing is painful, and you gotta just embrace that.
Yeah, definitely. You're gonna suck when it starts, and it's part of the nature of sales. Like, when you have a lot of conversations, you're gonna get a lot of no's, but those no's could turn into maybes or can turn into yes with time. So maybe someone that you talk today is gonna say no, but in 6 months or in 1 year, you're gonna say, "Oh, yeah, I remember I talked with Fu about this. They right now may be a good timing for this. Let me call him." And like, as you build your list of no's, you're gonna convert a few of them into maybes or yes in the future. So,
And at the very least, they were practice. At the very least, they were practice. Like, even if a conversation doesn't go that well, like, first of all, that was exposure. You got yourself out there. Second, you got practice. And then third, like Batu said, it's a numbers game. So that means that every time that you get a no, you're getting closer to that yes too. So there's multiple ways to look at this, and even the worst, it's positive, because at the very least it was practice and you can learn from it. So
yeah, we used to have like this piggy bank thing where you got, every time you said like you got a no, like you would press it and it would like make this little noise, and every time you, like, in a way to feel that as you're getting each no, you're getting closer to a yes. So each no shouldn't be like bad, it should be better because you're closer to getting to a yes in the future. One advice I would also tell to my younger self or to others, that like, if you see an opportunity, like, take advantage of it and make the best out of it. Like, when you feel when you keep thinking about this one thing over and over and over again, and keeps like popping in your, like, oh my god, this is a great opportunity because this and this, like, just hold on to it and take action and make the best out of it. I remember, like, at Offsite, I actually suggested the job to a friend. So I was talking to a friend. He was talking to me about like, oh, I want to get a new job. I was like, look at this job posting. Looks like a really cool job. Looks like a really great opportunity. And he's like, yeah, I'll look at it. And like a few days later, I keep thinking of it. I was like, oh my God, that's such a great idea. Like, this is like a no-brainer. Like, this is going to be really easy to sell. This is going to be amazing. And then I went, like, a week passed, and I went back to my friend and be like, hey, do you apply? And it's like, oh no, I haven't applied. I was like, okay, don't worry, I'll apply. I want this. I think this is a great opportunity. And I got the job, and now I'm making the best out of it because I see the opportunity. Like, so we do offsites. Most companies went remote or hybrid, but everyone knows the like the importance of in real life interactions for connections, to like improve culture, for like employee engagement, and balancing out like work and fun. So I kept thinking of that over and over and over again. And when I got the job, it was like really easy for me to sell because I already knew the opportunity. I thought about the benefits, and now it's easy for me to translate those benefits into customers.
Yeah, it's so great. I love how you like giving us that too. It's like, hey, because how many times this has happened to basically everybody? Like you want to give an advice to a friend and then you don't follow your own advice, right? Like, and you're like, man, wait a minute. Why am I'm telling him that it's such a great opportunity, then that means I think it's a great opportunity. So man, as well, I should go for it. And you went for it, and I'm glad that you went for it. And now look, you're happy and you're doing all these things, and you seem like you're in the right place. So I'm happy for you, and I know this is gonna be very valuable for the audience. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
So I want to go now to talk about a challenge that taught you something that you think is worth sharing with the audience.
Yeah. So one of the most challenging professional experiences I've ever had was at this tech company where I thought I had my dream job. Like I got there, I was super excited. It's like, this is such a great opportunity. I'm gonna get paid so much money. This is gonna be like amazing. And then when I started, something fell off. I was like, the team feels not in the right place. Uh, like employees are not engaged. Like the culture feels weird. And so I was still ramping up. I'll explain what a ramp up process is. So when you get a new role in sales, usually it takes a few, like we spoke earlier, it takes like a few months or weeks of getting no's. So until you start getting your first yeses to meetings or yeses to like deals closed. So a ramp up process, when you start a new sales role, it's like they give you a couple of months. So you start like building up that book of business, and you start like getting into a point where you start selling consistently. So I was still on that ramp up process, and I got laid off. I was like, oh my God, I left my job to come here. I just got like fired from one day to another. I thought I was doing it great. I'm still on my ramp up process, so they shouldn't expect for me to like be selling that much. So I went back at it, and now like being in the position where I am at Offsite, where I'm doing like more transactional sales. So there's a big difference between selling to small and medium businesses to selling to mid-market enterprises or like huge companies with thousands of employees. And something that I learned is like I put myself in a better position where I have more chances at bat, where I have more chances to talk with prospects and learn from them. So small and medium businesses or transactional sales is a better place for me because I can get more practice. I can improve my like curve, my learning curve, and I can get really good really fast, versus if I sell like more enterprise and mid-market deals, I'm gonna get less chances at bat. It's gonna take more time for me to get better at my role. So that was my biggest learning. What I would preach to other founders and other companies, like make sure you're careful. What type of segment are you selling into? And just know that as you increase like the contract value or the opportunity of business, it's gonna usually come aligned with a longer sales cycle, and it's gonna get harder to close.
Yeah, that's a great it's a great way to put it. And for my side of things, that I'm not like in different jobs. Like I'm just committing to my agency, and the equivalent to that would be with the offers and the niche that you're targeting, because there's some niche that you're targeting. Oh, if you're targeting high ticket, if you're taking low ticket, and that how that sales process works, right? Like when you're playing look, I just want to sell a lot of it for cheap, or I want to sell just a few of them but for a lot, right? And you gotta have that mental preparation for that, because it's different. It's a different, like, it depending on what's your role, depending on what company you are doing sales and what they sell and how they do it, that affects your process too, because it's doesn't matter how good you are, or you can be, if you're not the right fit, because it doesn't feel right. Doesn't matter. That doesn't mean that the job is wrong, or anything. Like, it's not that it's nothing wrong with it. It's about the fit, being in the right place, the right time. Like, and that's something that I've had in my, as someone that is an employer. When I'm finding people, like, I find people that are great, but I just don't find how to fit them. It's like, damn, you're so great. I like your work ethic, but can I offer you something that makes sense for you financially in the time, and you feel like you're operating in your zone of genius? And that's something that you got me thinking about that, because it not necessarily that means that was like a bad job, but it just wasn't the right fit, because you were like, no, I want more of that, I want this style. And then now you went for it, you took control of your career, you went and got something that, look, this is a better opportunity for me, I can feel it, and you went and got it, and it's like, look, now this is a better fit, right? And it's not like, and you don't have nothing against them, like, you're still friends, you still help each other and everything, but it just wasn't the right fit. And that's, us, like, it's like us, like, we want to work together all the time, we think about it, and we always, but we're waiting for the right place, the right time, the right fit, so that way it's not we try something and then no, we're gonna go, and we're sure, we're committed, and that's happening. I mean, it's the El Imperio. We're gonna get it together, and we're gonna do something great, which gets me to a cool story that I want to share here, given that I have Batu here. The story of the name of my company. I mean, my company is called Imperium Authority, and that was because, Batu and me, we were in college. I think it was like after a night out or something. We were here's the apartment, and we were just talking about, like, I was saying, hey, imagine, how if I have imperial blood, because I don't know anything about my Foo side. My great grandpa, which is the original Foo, like, I don't know anything about that family. He died when my grandpa had 2 years old. So we were talking about, oh, imagine I have imperial blood, and I go there, and then I'm the owner of this empire, and then I bring it here, and I create this empire, and then we start talking about it in Spanish. Imperio, empire is like, and so we were like, oh, like, just do it. Let's create our own empire. Let's do El Imperio. And then that was what the Imperio was born, and basically was our own, like, fraternity in a way. But instead of being just about just guys, it was like also girls, because we were like, damn, we want to have our own, but we don't want to get spanked and hazed and everything, like, right? Like, we're just bosses, like, we don't want to be like that, so we just created our own. And that's how we did. That's why my company's called Imperium Authority. And I thought that was a great story to share here, given that Batu was in the creation of it, right? So he's his co-founder of the Imperium, so it's good to kind of bring that story here. So
Yeah, I still keep a really close relationship with all the friends that we met through the Imperium, or the Empire, or the
El Imperio.
Right now, you're still in my phone as Fu Imperio.
Yeah,
So
and I have like a little like, which is kind of like the inspiration of my logo in a way, like the emoji of like that Chinese house thing. Like, that's like my my emoji for all my, like, people from El Imperio. And and that's forever. Like, we still have that group chat, we still talk, we have fantasy basketball together, like, so it's cool. Hey, I'm winning this week. I don't know.
I won last year, so that's all I'm about to say.
I wasn't there, so I mean, I didn't lose there, so. But man, you see, this was the reason that I wanted to do this, because I think there's so much story between Batu and me, and there's so much growth, from, like, we met when we started becoming man, right? Like we were at 18, first time living alone, college, like, learning about life, like real life, because before that, like, you have under the umbrella of your parents, and it's not, you're not living life. You have like the training wheels, let's say, right, on. But then when you go to college and you get like a place for yourself and everything, that's when you take the training wheels off, And that's why like we became very good friends, because we were like, look, we're in this together, so like let's help each other out. This is not easy. We're taking about the same classes anyway. I mean, the same classes, not in the same order, because obviously like college, it can be shuffled around, but it was cool to take classes together, to do investigations together, to do a lot of things together, to be honest. It was fun, man. It was fun.
Yeah,
So
I think I kind of kept that like helping other people out. And I think that's like the basis of my consulting business. So, right, like just like I was helping people out when I was in college to go through that process, I think I'm doing like the same thing, like helping people out that are open on their businesses, like sit down with them, give them suggestions and ways to grow their businesses. And like I think the only way I've like gotten the chance to work with 50 plus different companies and help them like uh create those like sales processes, grow their teams, grow their companies, all of that. Like I've done it because I've always been in the business of helping others grow in general. So it's
same.
in
Me,
my
me
DNA.
too. Like without knowing it, when we were in college, like that's what we created El Imperio, because we would just want to help each other out. It's like we have our group. This is the family that we created. And every time, like, hey, I need something, Batu. Hey, I need something, Litro. Hey, I need something. Like, I have my friends. I can count on them all the time, and we help each other out in like academic stuff and in life stuff and just everything. And that's what it translated for us to be in this entrepreneurial side of things, right? And to get into sales, because it's a way like, look, if you found something that is so good, you're like, damn, this is good, this can help people, like it becomes like, damn, like it's almost my duty to share this with the world, and make the world a better place however we can. So that's what I wanted to kind of add there. And I now I want to say, this is the part that I like, given the conversation or maybe something that we didn't touch on, what would be the biggest takeaway for you to leave the audience with?
The biggest takeaway.
Either from like a point that you want to emphasize of what we talked, or maybe something that you haven't mentioned that you say like, damn, like I gotta say this before hopping off this call.
Yeah, reach out if you like. Getting good at sales is going to help in a lot of different ways at your company. Recruiting, we already mentioned them, like recruiting, fundraising, job searching, like selling,
Everything.
marketing, all of that. So if you need any type of help, just reach out. I'm always like down to get on a Zoom call or get on a phone call. We've had a few consulting phone calls together where we sit down and we chat about like what are your main concerns, how can we help, like how can we establish a process that's repeatable and that can get better at growing your company. So just feel free to reach out. And if you don't feel like too comfortable reaching out, read books. So there's always like like not, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Like hundreds of people have like grown companies. It shouldn't, like the information is out there. So a few books I would suggest would be like Challenger Sell, Fanatical Prospecting, Sales EQ, the Sales Enablement Playbook, and how to win friends and influence people. Those
That's a
like
big
just a
one.
few books that like have changed my life and have made me into a better salesperson.
Yeah, and just to touch on that, because I was, who was it? I think, I don't know if it was Formosi or another one of these influential people that are very successful in sales. They were mentioning that, look, even like always, do not think that you can solve your life. If you got yourself in a tough situation, you caused that problems, all right? So like you need help, because you can be asking the same person that caused the problem to solve it, right? You got yourself in there. So think about like, hey, I got myself here, I need to find some help. And it's not just look for someone that will carry you, right? It's not like go with that victim mentality. I hate victim mentality. But just be humble enough to accept that you need help, and go look for it. And for the Batu's point, if you feel afraid of reaching out to people, look for podcasts, look for even chatting. If you don't want to talk with somebody, there's chat, like you can chat with people online, just like Google it, really. Like it's that easy. You can use YouTube videos, podcasts, like there's so many different things that depending what's your preferred way to learn, they're out there. Like they're out there, and just join groups, join something, like and slowly, get to yourself in a position that you can build community, and you can feel comfortable with those people, like whoever your people is, because everybody has different types of personalities and everything, but your people is out there. You can just have to find them. And when you are comfortable, then you can come in and work together towards the same mission, because it is entrepreneurship, especially. It's not in life in general, I would say it is a team sport. It is a team sport, and it's not that you shouldn't be doing anything alone. There's always alone time is good, but when you recognize that you will get further faster with people, instead of being like, oh, I did it myself and I just want help because I want to say like I did it alone, right? Like, and that's cool and all at times, but
There's
might not get
ego
help,
there.
right?
There's ego there. Like sometimes when you're like, I can do it myself kind of mood, it's like because your ego is telling you like you're better than everyone else and you're gonna do a better job, and that's not entirely true. So just be conscious on when is your ego talking and when are you talking, and just make sure you can point it out and be like, I think that's my ego. Let's go back rethinking and see if like I can find a better solution to this.
To that point, I even like I ask myself all the time, like, is this my ego talking, or is this like a legit reason that like it's something that it's more like I'm analyzing something and I really want to do it because of a reason, not just because of ego, right? Like if it has deeper meaning than just me elevating myself and just like, oh, look, I'm so great. If it has deeper meaning, good. And if not, then it's like maybe reconsider, right? Because it's very easy to fall into like ego like
Ego
mentality,
trips.
because you don't even, it's a natural thing for humans to care about ourselves, because especially if we're often operating under like survival mode, right? Then it's like, oh, me, because I'm just trying to survive. And when you're like sometimes shifting from that survival to abundance mentality to a more fulfilling life, it's something that it's not easy. It's not easy to shift, and it's not like, oh, I solved it and that's it. Like that's an everyday battle. Like that's why asking yourself all the time, like, is this coming from like an ego perspective, or is it coming from like more like an abundance and purpose and fulfilling mindset? So that's one point that I wanted to throw out there.
Yeah, and it's a good way to let your ego in the door, because like you first, like, to be good at selling, you have to be good at listening, and you
Very
have
important.
to listen. And there's this quote that I've read a few times in a couple books that says you have two ears and you have one mouth, and that's because you should be listening two times how the many like
The amount
you
that you
should
speak.
listen the amount you speak. So just like letting other people speak, letting other people tell their story, letting other people tell their problems and their concerns and like their way of thinking. It's one of those important ways that you have to let you have to let your ego in the door, to let people speak, to let people go on tangents, and to be good at selling, because you have
And
to
I would
listen.
add to that, uh, like you have to come in, like you have to leave your ego at the door, so you can come in from a place of serving, because in sales it's not about just making the sale. It's if what I'm selling, does this serves this person? And when you come in with that mentality, and you make them see, hey, look, I'm trying to help you, I'm not just trying to sell and make a quick buck, like I'm trying to help you. And when you come from that, you feel better, your sales process goes better, because you don't have that like salesy like guilt, right? Like, oh, I'm actually helping. Like I'm super happy to take this money, because I know that it's an investment that is gonna be great for them. They're gonna make money, they're gonna gain time, they're gonna save money, whatever the outcome is, the positive outcome. When you know that you're serving, the sales process becomes a lot easier, and people feel great, and it's just great. It's just all good. The energy that conversation radiates, it's like, oh, like there's good happening in here. That's what I wanted to add there. So
Yeah, you have to believe whatever you're selling, you have to believe in it, or else it's not like it's gonna feel uncomfortable, and it's gonna translate into an uncomfortable conversation with prospects. So to be able to be good at sales, you have to truly believe in what you're doing, and that the value is there, or you're not gonna become great at it. You can be good, but not great.
Exactly. And we don't want to settle for good, right? Like we want to be great. We want to be as good as we can. And you know what, one thing that got me thinking about that's what was a thing that I usually say, like usually at the end of the podcast. So because usually something that a guest says get me thinking of that. And it's something that Mr. Johnson, Terrence X. Johnson, he taught me, which is you don't get what you want, you get what you believe. And that's a very strong phrase that I carry myself now, like with that in mind all the time. It's like, oh, I want this, I want that, I want that. No, if I believe that I deserve, if I believe that I will get it, if I believe that I can get it, that's when I'm gonna get it. Not just like wanting but not believing that I deserve it, right? Like manifestation is not wanting something, it's believing that you can have it, like visualizing already having it. And then when you can visualize that clear roadmap, it's just follow the steps, right? Like you know where you have to do and where you have to go. So now you just do, right? So that's what I wanted to add, because it's the same thing in like sales. Like, oh, I want to make this sell, but do you believe that you should be making this sell, right? That is the big point. And you know, just to kind of wrap this up, I know there's gonna be people that are gonna be like, hey, this Batu dude, he's so amazing. Like I want to talk to him. So how can people find you?
Yeah, I would say the first and most important place to find me is LinkedIn. I'm kind of a LinkedIn junkie. I'm always posting there. Like it's my favorite social media, so find me there at Jorge B. Macias. I'm gonna leave the link for you to put in the description. If you're interested in planning an in real life event for your company, or with your board of advisors, or with your investors, like you want to plan a trip in real life, you can reach out through offsite.com. Or if you're interested in some type of sales consulting, or just like help suggestions on how to improve your sales process, like just feel free to contact me at messcrib.com.
Perfect. Thank you for taking the time, man. Like this was fun. I was looking forward to talk to you. Like we've been like, hey man, we gotta catch up. And it's like, yeah, anytime. You keep saying, I'm like, you know what, let's just schedule a podcast. And you're like, okay, do it. And then, you know, now like we are able to have an important conversation that is valuable, and might as well, you know, if we're gonna have it, might as well record it and share it with the world, given that I have my platform. And then, you know, we talked a little bit before, and we're gonna hang up here, and now we're gonna stop recording, and then we're gonna talk a little more. And yeah, this was amazing. I really think that there was some powerful stuff in here, a lot of perspective, you know, from like two Puerto Ricans that like they're killing it in sales in different areas of entrepreneurship. So I think this was great, and I appreciate you taking the time, given that you're doing like a million things at the same time. So I really appreciate it.
Happy to help. Always here for you, man. Take care, and thank you for everything.
Yeah. So this is Batu and Foo signing off.
Take care. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Moments with Foo with your host, Foo. Please leave your feedback and visit strategicadvisorboard.com to get the latest and greatest business advisement on the planet. Follow us on social media for updates, and we will see you on the next episode.